We got the same background as you.
Yeah. So, I just printed I was selling some prints on my online store, so I kept one for myself.
Is that something that it did say that you're an illustrator, so is that
This is my work, yes.
okay?
Yeah.
So
This is took a month to do, but just I have been an illustrator by trade since the age of 18 professionally, and that's the whole play on the brand thing that it's with the revelation of merging the illustration with the music that I got to really motivate myself to be more of a brand, and it helped me in music, and it's helping, like, they're both finally shaking hands. So because
it's
I
like
had to
taking
put,
two of your skills or your passions and merging them to finally be at one.
yeah, and but it's just to keep that short. It took, like, I had to put illustration on the side for like 10 years until I can write something like Burn and Outstanding, the first track last year, so that I can, because I always thought my illustrations were here and my music was still getting there, because I've been just drawing more professionally for a longer time than I have been trying myself at music, and and I think I finally hit the point where they both leveled up at the same time, and that was a big sign for me to like throw myself in there even more, and it just gave me a lot of confidence on who, because we're always looking for who we are doing this,
Mhm.
what are we writing about, where to tread, where not to tread, staying kind of in brand. I know that's a very commercial word, but it's also really true.
Oh, I mean, hey, we're right in the middle of the interview, so might as well introduce you. Uh, Start right from the beginning. That's awesome. Well, first of all, welcome to Montreal Rocks. I'm so glad we get to talk to you. The reason I reached out is because I heard your song and it was very powerful. It was awesome, and it really stood out. And I wanted to see who was behind this powerful music. So I'll just give you a little bio. So Karim Terouz made Montreal his home in 2008. He's got two albums under his belt with The Rising Few, and he now goes under the moniker Terouz. His voice has been likened to David Bowie, but I feel it's a mix of Bowie and of Andrew Eldritch of the Sisters of Mercy, to be quite
That's the
honest.
second time I hear this during this campaign. It's true.
Over this like 80s and 90s synth beat, it's really effective. It's part of the stuff I grew up on anyway. So welcome to Montreal Rocks.
Thank
Uh,
you so much for having me.
we were just talking about your illustration career and how your illustrations and your music finally came to level up at the same time, so you can release now a mixture of both, and we can see those in the videos that you do. I mean, both videos are completely different. One is just animation, and one is this film noir boxing themed one, and they're both very powerful. But before we get into the videos and the music and what's coming up, I want to kind of go back in time. Let's talk a little bit about your memories of Cairo, maybe listening to Bruce Springsteen.
Oh my God.
And was there a time where maybe you're listening to Bruce or something else that you felt this calling for music?
Oh, I don't know how you know that, but it is exactly the same day I found my calling. That I was listening to Springsteen's live in New York. I think it was 1993 or two or something, or 94. But it's his rendition of The River that I just picked up on YouTube, and it's how he just commanded a crowd of 80,000 people with a yawn.
Mm.
And I don't know how he did it, but it stirred something in me, to see how somebody can be so vulnerable on stage and yet so powerful and there. Uh, and it just made me realize why I envied him, is because he can have that just by just by he can go on stage and say, I must be felt, and it is done. And that's what I wanted for myself. And then that same day, I went out. I was 17. It was the Cairo Jazz Club in Cairo. That was the most happening place, live music wise. And it's also where you get to meet girls. And, it was just special to even make it in there. And somehow I did. And there was a local DJ spinning tracks. And I was on my own, and I didn't know necessarily anybody. I was on my third beer, Egyptian beer called Stella. And I saw he had a mic, and he wasn't inviting necessarily anybody up on stage to to sing along, but I just went for it, and he somehow passively passed me the mic, and whatever I did for like that 12 seconds, I was just trying to emulate what I saw in Bruce that morning. And when I opened my eyes, the whole place was still, and I must have done something in a good way. I mean, like, they were all looking as if like, what was that, And that's when I knew. That's when I knew, it was like, yes, that's exactly what I'll be doing. Thank you very much. But to successfully transition your energy to a place that is already happening, that is beyond amazing.
During those 12 seconds, do you remember anything? Or was it really like you were channeling something?
Truly, I was just letting my voice go in falsetto while really imagining that Bruce moment where he was in falsetto during the river and the solo in the end of the track, where he's just, but first of all, he took the track to halftime, and he was just slowly, almost like, it's not a cry, it's weeping. He was weeping with his vocals to 80,000 people, and it killed them. It just, everybody was in a trance. And I just visualized and remembered that moment as much as I can, letting it rub off on whatever vocals are coming out of my body. and it worked. It added that melancholic yet optimistic vibe to a room of people trying to have fun, and it got their attention. Everybody stopped. People that were kissing stopped. Waiters stopped serving. Everybody was looking at me. Even the DJ was like, "Do that again."
So you got quite a power if you can stop a couple from kissing, gotta say.
Well, especially if you're in Cairo. Yeah.
Where would you be today if you stayed in Cairo?
It's an interesting question because I don't think about it enough. I knew I had to go. I knew I took as much as I could from the knowledge and the know-how and the street smart and developing as an illustrator and an artist. But I knew there was more for me somewhere else in a different environment, which turned out to be Montreal, Quebec, Canada, so I can learn more of become a singer and songwriter in both English and French if I want to. But if I would have stayed in Egypt, I really never thought about it because it was a blank wall. It was a dead end. But if I would have stayed there, I would have probably still illustrated. I did give music a shot there, but at that time, bands and everything were not as exploding as they are now after the revolution, because after every great crisis there's a surge in art. And after the Arab Spring, there was an explosion of art in Egypt, and bands went global. Like bands came out of the woodwork and started getting like huge recognition. Like top 3 of the biggest bands in the Middle East would be from Egypt, and they all started playing music with me at the same time when I was there, but my life took a turn where I'm still, while I am working on, let's say, English music or more mainstream rock, and they just all went into the Arabic music direction, and they exploded. And I even opened up for one of them when they were touring here
During
couple of years
Montreal,
ago.
I believe, right?
Come again?
During Pop Montreal, I believe.
No, it was a concert. They were playing here
Okay.
separately, but I did get to know their manager through Pop Montreal. So,
Okay. I know there's a connection somewhere because you've.
yeah, they're all linked. Like yeah, it's all linked together.
So what made Montreal? This is obviously Montreal Rocks, so we care a lot about Montreal. We love our city.
Of course.
What made you attracted to Montreal as a city to call home?
It was really a practical decision. It was like the most important thing was get out. And the this after that, whatever helps. Well, first of all, I already had Canadian citizenship because I did live here when I was from the age of 8 to 12. So even if my eyes are anywhere else, this is the card that has been handed to me, and Montreal has been a part of me, and it's since when I was young, and it's time to come revisit that. It was time for me to come revisit that and kind of make it worth the wait that when I wasn't here, because I lived here from the age of 8 till 12 and then came back to Egypt again until I was a young man at the age of 25. That's when I came back here. And so my life was like my my story was not complete yet before revisiting Montreal and seeing what's the purpose. Like I came here when I was young. Now let's put that to bed. And what am I doing here?
Okay, so that brings us 10 years ago. You started with the Rising Few, and you did that for, like you said,
8 years
two
ago.
albums.
Yeah.
But then at the age of 35, life threw you a couple punches.
Yeah.
How did that affect your musical direction?
Completely flipped it when my dad passed away a couple of years ago. It makes you rethink everything when you lose a loved one, a parent, that especially if you have been close in your own way. But it makes you really reweigh everything in your life and see what you're gonna keep and what you're gonna leave. And it also reveals a lot of sarcasm. Like it's like a thin veil of gray film that has been laid in front of your eyes, so you see more everything in gray. Nothing is as
Black and
nothing
white.
is as innocent and lovey-dovey anymore. No, there is death, there's mourning, there's loss, there's pain. There's the way that things are, and gives you a new perspective on how are you going to be going forward, knowing all that now, because you obviously can't operate anymore with the same either joie de vivre that you had, or the same enthusiasm or bubbliness. It's not the same. That's why my stuff is, or my music and my art has this little dark side to it, because it does reveal the cracks in everything, and sometimes the pestilence that is there. There's a dark, twisted side to it. It's a visceral thing.
I think death reveals a finality or a limited time,
Yeah.
which makes us reflect on, with the time I
Now.
have left, and it might
Yeah.
be long, it might be short. What am I doing with this time that's been given to me?
Yeah.
And like you said, it also opens your eyes to dark things. Death is not a happy thought. It's not something that you. It's a process that you have to go through. I have a friend that just had both their parents pass away within a very short
Wow.
period, and I'm seeing the effects. It's devastating.
Yeah.
But there is a rebuilding, and there are some positives. I mean, you can be more empathetic, you can understand more, and is that where you, like you said, you draw some of that into your music? Does that help you kind of heal as you discuss these topics?
Well, it just really, at the end of the day, it just makes you ask yourself, what do I want? What do I really want here for me? you know, because, you just, at the end, I just, at that stage in my life, the music I was making, I just wanted something to groove in my ears. And I just wanted something to like, just to make me dance. I didn't care much anymore for lyrical content, even though I consider myself prolific in a way when I write a lot, but I didn't care as much about writing the song, for example, more from the viewpoint of the lyrics, or starting with the lyrics, or I just didn't put that weight anymore on whatever I had already going for me. I was trying to reimagine everything in a way that would serve me, that would help me, because I'm obviously going to need that help, because things are getting harder, and darker means harder. It's just it's like that.
And I don't think it's a selfish thing.
It's not. No.
I think that what happened, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what happened is that at that age, when you had those curveballs, I think in your personal life too, things changed. And I believe that your identity became clear. And I think you embraced your true identity. And I
Very
think
true.
that made your music a lot more powerful.
Very. I think you nailed it. You said it right there. Like, I came out, the real, like, all my sides came out, kind of filtered after that. After all this, and the experience of having a five piece, that are that you have to kind of keep on a payroll by getting gigs over time, like around town, for 5 years, and it's like, so that combined, like, the reality of doing it with the revelations of realizations, you're gonna come out of that jumping, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
So life threw you a couple punches, which kind of brings us to your first video, Outstanding.
Yeah.
It shows you that when life tries to knock you down, you can still get up, you can still keep fighting. What for you is something worth fighting for?
It's really your freedom to create in order to heal yourself. Your freedom to, this is the most important thing. I like, I strive to fight for. I try to fight for, because there are so many things working against you. But to really put your finger on what's bothering you, and to work on that, so that at the end you can be able to help everybody, and by helping yourself. And it seems to be my motto. It seems to be like, I may have lost some people because of that decision, and I've gained others, and but that's something it's your personal freedom. It's your to self-heal, and to correct yourself, and to work on yourself inside and out, and to remind yourself that you did, so you can tell your story at the end. That's what we're trying to do, so, and I don't think that's selfish either.
No, I agree. I think that people use distraction to run away from the problems. They might use alcohol or drugs or whatever.
Addiction. Yeah.
To
I have my own set of addictions.
Avoid dealing with these traumas, but our bodies hold trauma, and we have to go work through it to become a better person. Like you said, to be able to tell your story with this honesty, and
yes, and authenticity.
Authenticity.
And it can come best out of you when you are at your most optimal, when your body's functioning right, when your mind is functioning right. It's all basics. It's not magic. It's chemistry.
Now, thinking about your second single, which has the illustration that is in your background that you've created, the single was Burn. My question is, have you tamed the fire?
There are times to tame it, and there are times to let it out. And that sweet spot is well, that's the game, is to find that sweet spot, and to be able to be ready for it, and to know exactly where to draw fire, or when to holster your gun. Or you can see it however way, or you can use whatever analogy you would like, but there are times where it's like getting angry is not a crime, or getting over passionate is not a crime, but there are times you have to shut up. You have to
Yeah.
shut up, take a step back, you know. And you know, it's always it's a very it's a line, it's the line that came to me to write the song, but it's really about self, like how you see yourself. It's also it's about transparency. It's about knowing what your limits are, you know, and where you're willing to go, and where, like you asked, what you're willing to fight for,
Mhm.
you know. Some things I will set a fire for, and some other things, no fire needed, you know. I'll take the hits.
Yeah. Of course, the person that starts the fire sometimes can get burned themselves, so we have to be careful about how close we get to these fires. But
Yeah,
yeah, definitely, there's some things we have to fight for. We have to fight for our family. We have to fight for love. We have to fight for justice. These are things that we hold dear, and we don't want to let go of these things, especially in our personal life, the decisions that we make.
yeah,
You have a new single coming out. What
yeah. I'm almost done.
what will be the theme of that? Do you have a title
Yes,
for it?
yes, I'm very excited about it, and I'm excited to let Montreal Rocks on that little exclusive info. It's the first time I talk about this, but it's about betrayal. It's called Big Boy Games,
Okay.
and I was kind of dwelling on fratricide, which is the murder of brother to brother. And if you look in history, it's an interesting list, whether it's in religion or mythology or film,
Cain and
about
Abel, first one.
Cain and Abel. But then you also have Michael and Fredo from The Godfather. You have Scar and Mufasa from The Lion King.
Mhm.
You have Osiris and Seth in Egyptian mythology. You have Romulus and Remus with the Romans. I mean, it's interesting. It's about, but it's mainly about betrayal, and and I always try to write something for the now, and what is going on now, especially with the elections and with people in power. There's a lot of big boy games going on. Let's just say this is as close as I can stay politically correct. But it's it's important for me to deliver a song that helps the now, that
Yeah.
serves also a little bit of the now, while staying as timeless as it can be. But at the same time, the theme uh, is the most fun part to 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 carve and etch, specifically when it's a boy theme of betrayal and murder.
Mhm. Well, it's true that if you look at around the world around us, there's much more hate these days than there is love, and that's unfortunate. But I think that as artists, you feel more, and you are able to look at things maybe from a different perspective and kind of shine the light on the benefits of uh, not killing your brother, and actually, like you said, there's a time to fight, a time to take the punches, and sometimes it's about accepting our, of not being a party to continuing in the fight, and just kind of take a step back.
Yeah, we all have a role to play, and my job is very clear. I'm an artist, and if I can slip my 10 cents during that time with something that can not necessarily favor a side, you know,
Mhm.
but put things in perspective, you know, even if it's a fantastic perspective, even if it's a theatrical play, but just make you think about it for a sec, you know, about what's really at play here, you know, and what's really going on, you know. Even it's the nicest way to do it is with art, you know, and like putting whatever context going on in the now in a context of somebody's different parallel world, you know, but does not affect you. It's just a song.
Mhm.
You don't have to listen to it if you don't want to, but it's there, you know, and it says something, and it may or may not shine a light on 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 things again, on the perspective of things, on what's important, and where you can guide your energy based on what's going on, like how you can work yourself through that.
Well, I think for one, it takes a lot of bravery just to put out anything into the public's eye. Uh,
Yeah,
There's a book called The War on Art or The War of Art. I can't remember which one it is, but
Yes, I read it.
about, how we want to
About
put
calling the
things out,
muse,
the resistance,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
to fight through that, to put something out. Just when you're about to release something new, what do you feel inside? Is it excitement? Is it fear? Or do you feel like, what are people going to judge me? What are the feelings that go through your head as you put out something new to the world? Like the day you're going to release this new single.
I feel first of all grateful that I get to add another piece to a type of legacy that or I'm just world building here, and with every song and with every illustration is I'm just grateful I get to keep doing that. I get to keep adding to that and building that, and I hope to keep doing that for as long as I can, so that at the end you may have a little piece of my mind and heart and everything. So I'm always just grateful that, okay, now you can take me.
Yeah.
Don't, so it's been released. I don't I don't think too much of what people think, because I make sure before I release it that I like it so much that however people are gonna take it, uh, it can remain a little something for me, and if not, then I'll learn. Then if depending on my goals, I can learn on how to maybe work differently, or a little less of that, a little more of this, But I make sure every time when I'm releasing something that it just serves the now, there's more to come, there's I'll inshallah, like we say in Arabic, like God willing, but it's just art, I'm not too nervous. I'm usually more excited.
Great. Well, we're excited to hear the new song, and we
Great.
will, of course, feature it on Montreal Rocks. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today, and we
Also,
look forward to hearing this very intriguing new song.
well, you can go get a little snippet of it. If you go to my Instagram feed, you're gonna see me singing in the dark a little bit, a little 10 seconds of it. And I think you'll find it if you listen to the lyrics, you'll know exactly what it's talking about. So go to Terouz on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube and dig deeper.
We'll put all the links in the article. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Randall. Have a great day.